For those of you who haven't seen part one, this is the XL500s that we've got hold of that's been pretty much fully restored. And we've just only got a few minor jobs to do to it to get it ready for sale. So enjoy and like, subscribe, comment, and hope to hear from you. So I've just taken the carb out of the XL because I noticed while it was up under there that, as you can see there on the float bowl, it's been damaged, cracked, come apart, and kind of a non-standard screw put in there, and then also the same on the other two sides. So what I'm going to do is just pop this apart and see if I can get another float bowl for this. This is a Key-in PD08A carb, so I'm going to have a look for a new float bowl for this. The existing float bowl had, let's just turn it around, there we go, had a broken ferrule, don't know what you call that, the fitment there, as you can see, and I spotted that underneath, and I thought, oh, that doesn't really look good with the rest of the bike. So I've managed to source another float bowl for it, which I'm in the UK. This came from Germany, so it's marked up PD08A. It's exactly the same, as you can see there, same piece, all in good condition. So new rubber onto it, fit that on there and sort that out. The carb there's no problems with the carb at all. It was running fine before I took this off. So that'll be a test. Will I put it back together well enough? And one of the other issues that we had was that the rear of the tank has not got a proper mount on it. And what he'd done was layers of rubber here, all glued together. So the tank does sit on that, but then you've got nothing. Usually there is a rubber piece that fits in here that fits over all of this. And this is what goes in there. Okay, so this is a sample off of another XL that I've got. So I'm going to use this to fashion a part out of this. So we'll cut a piece out of this. It's reasonably dense but lightweight rubber, so it's not the same density as this, but I think it will do for the moment. I haven't got a chunk of rubber thick enough to remake that whole part. And I'm probably not going to go with doing this lip around the edge. I'll just make it a circular so that it fits into the hole of the tank. And this is kind of what I mean by that over here. A circular that fits into this, but then it sits on the rubber underneath there. So we'll have a go at that and just cut that out from this piece of slightly softer rubber that I've got here. New float bowl is fitted, so next up is get the intake manifold back on and the whole thing set back in the bike and clamped up. I'll put the clamp back on after, just so I make sure I get the orientation for the access to the head right. I'll leave that off for now and just get it fitted in. Float bowl is back on, carburetor back in, and running quite sweetly. No airbox on it at the moment. Okay, next job is make the new mount. So we'll start on that now. So making the piece for the tank support, or rubber. As you can see, what I've done is just cut out a basic shape from this kind of hard foam composite. It's obviously a little bit too thick, but it's thick enough to accommodate the post that I need to make here in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to mimic this piece here. This actually fits through the whole of the tank, and this pops out either side. So when you put your bolt and washer on, it protects the tank on this side, but the post itself gives a centralization of the tank as well. So that will then sit, I think it's that way around, up against the underside of the tank. As I said, no rubber, but what I'll do is I'll get a thick piece of rubber anyway. So just cut the post up until the height of the metal, and then I'll use a rubber like washer or piece under it anyway, so when the bolt and metal washer comes down, it doesn't damage the tank. But there's my basic shape, as you can see, that I've just cut. And now I'm just going to start cutting out effectively those two sides there. So we'll offer that up and have a look at it, so that we get the same depth of where the tank sits on it. So we'll just cut that piece out now. So I need to get the height. So what we'll do, it's going to be that way around. So what we'll do, we'll just need the height. So I'm going to offer it up that way around because it's slightly easier, because this is in the way. And then cut across. I just want the whole side taken out, really, across there. I'm going slightly thicker, so margin for error. Right, there we go. So what I'm doing is cut across here and take out the whole side. And let's just put, so it's going to be there. So let's just do a cut across there to join. There we go. And now I'll just go down there. First side, I'll use that as a template on the other. And there we go. A little bit more out of there just to even it up. A little bit of OCD there. Neaten up some of those edges. Okay, so basic form is now there. So what I've got to do now is get the diameter of that inner post there, which luckily I have to hand. There we go. So that's what I need in the middle, a post of that size. So let's do approximation, middle there. And what I'm going to do is cut out, for the moment, let's go slightly wider. Just that there. So I've got my lines, and then we'll go by eye. Now I need it the middle, needs to be the middle of the main body, not the whole piece there. So looking at the main body, middle is just going by eye. This doesn't have to be massively accurate because this is pliable. Just there. So what I'm going to do is just cut out across there and across there. So that square in the middle is effectively going to be my round that pokes through the hole on the tank. So we'll just cut these pieces out. If you're doing stuff like this with a scalpel, I'd always recommend just get a brand new blade. It just slices through, so you've got no stress, crappy cuts. And if you feel that it is starting to drag, stick another blade in. They are so cheap, it's unreal. There we go. Now we'll just get this bit out. Go. And now the sides. That one. Obviously, don't do what I'm doing here, cutting towards my fingers, but I'm bracing my other hand against the piece of wood just in case it slips. If you were doing this open, if it slipped, you'd be slicing your fingers open. Okay. So that's going to be my little pedestal that comes through the tank. So I'll just tidy up around the outside of that now, because it's not quite deep enough on these sections here. Right, okay. That's the basis of what's going to fit under the tank. So let's just get the tank over here. There we go. And I now just need to cut basically the corners off of that for that to fit through, and then drill a hole in it. So we'll just cut those corners. Looks like I've gone quite close. Oh, I've even left a mark there. Quite close with that. His tolerances, I probably should have left it a little bit wider. So let's find what I just did with my scalpel. And we're just going to take the corners off. Okay, and let's just retry that. Nearly there, a little bit more over here. Actually, I might leave that. There we go. So that is now a good fit in there. There we go. And what I need to do now, I might actually make that a little bit thinner so it comes through a bit more. But the next step is drill a hole in it. So what I need is on the post on the bike, there, this post, that needs to fit over that post. And then I get rid of these two rubber mounts, and this will nicely sit neatly underneath and then I'll have the rubber washer and bolt on top that just pull it down. Okay, and it will pull it down onto this rubber. So just need to get a drill. Something I've got some around here, but not big enough. No, not big enough. So we'll just go and get a drill bit. If anybody's asking why don't I just use this, this is because this is actually off of another tank. It's the same fitment for XL250s, and I've actually got another XL500. So this is why I need this one. And they're not easy to come by. So I've also gone for a drill bit that is not quite as big as the post on the bike, because I want it to be a tight fit, and what will happen is as I push it over, it'll actually push this out to fit tighter. So push this out to fit tighter into the hole within the back of the tank. So let's just get that in. Okay, guesstimate again, roughly there. Okay, and we'll just go and try that on the post. Actually, can't get it on that way, so yeah. Oh, good tight fit. Perfect. Yep, exactly what I wanted. So what I want to do now is just make that middle bit just a little bit taller, because it doesn't have to be. I've actually cut the whole thing a little bit tall, so I'm going to take a little bit more out of this so the post in the middle is taller, and that's going to be all the way around. So another couple of mil. Just run the blade a few mil round. Need to go all the way through at this point. So let's turn it over and start the other side, so we keep it at a few mil. There we go. Don't go too far up against that, so let's put that cut in there so that it actually parts company when I get to it, which I think I have. Yes, there we go. And now we go through the rest. Do the same over here. Yep, there we go. And now just take the rest out. Okay, just tidy that up a little bit. Take the corners out. Perfect. And let's just offer that up to the tank again. we go, sorry. There we go, it's a perfect fit. It now sits right across underneath here. Comes through enough on this, and we can get rid of what was there before, which was the rubbers that sat there and offered no centralisation. The spigot came up into a bigger hole, so it's a smaller spigot. And now what will happen on the top side, I'll get another piece of rubber just on there, and that comes through enough to compress and squash out, and that will be on the post, and that will do up on the piece of rubber and that will hold it all in place. So there we go. Easy, cheap fix for tank mounting rubbers, which are difficult to come by. Tank mount rubber is made, and I've taken off the blocks that were set on the top there. There was 2 of them. So now the tank mount, which is going to go back on the underside of the tank. So now we'll just get the airbox back in. So it's not particularly tight in here. Simple. Let's get it onto the breather, engine breather. Let's give that a bit of help with a little bit of WD to make it slide on easier. And then get it onto the carb. Make sure I've got access to the clip. There we go, onto the carb, and it's on the breather. So just get that done up. Okay. And just make sure that it's sighted. And bolted in place. So there's actually a bracket missing for the bottom of this airbox box. Goes across to a threaded hole in the frame just here. We can see there is a mounting point just here. So that wasn't there when I took this off. So I need to make up a little bit of a bracket, kind of a 60-degree angle across that, just so that we can get this secure. Just stop it moving. Made up a new bracket for the underside of the airbox mount. It's bolted in on the other side. As you can see, it's not supported this side. I believe there was a bracket that used to fit onto this, which is an already threaded lug on the frame. So I've basically cut so that this fits under that airbox from that point. So if we just line it up like that, can't really see with my thumb in the way, but bolted into there, going inwards with a slight twist and then a right angle. So we can see in this slight twist and right angle, and I've marked it out for the hole for the plastic lug under the airbox. And what I'm going to do is just tap that so that you don't have to hold a nut and bolt up on the back. You can just literally put the bolt through. It's tapped into this. It doesn't have to be really strong on this. It's only a plastic support for this. So the strength is in here. This is just the support with the bolt. So I'm going to tap that now and fit it in. What I've done is pre-drilled this with a just under 7mm bit, so because I'm going to put in a 8mm bolt in there. It's probably a bit over, well, it is overkill for carrying it, but actually the hole in the bottom of the plastic is about that size as well. So at least it will fill the hole. It's not going to wobble around and wear out the plastic if it's not done up loose. So now we'll just tap that out. I've got 8mm 1.25 tap there. So we'll just run that through, create the thread for it to pick up. Okay. It's not very thick metal, but this doesn't have to be a strong bolt anyway. It's as long as it picks up the thread, because it's not going to be under stress under there. Something's going to be hanging on it as opposed to it holding up a couple of plates together and a tightness. Okay, let's see. Let's give it a little bit of grease. Seems to be good. And let's just run an Allen key into it. I've used an Allen head on this because it's, see if I can find one that fits. Too big. Don't think I've got one to hand. No, I haven't. Yes, right, okay. Yep. Okay, perfect. Right, we'll put that on the bike. Brackets now in place. You can see bolted to the lug on the frame and up under to the plastic lug on the bottom of this. So now this, like, no, doesn't want to move this side, and it's bolted on the other side anyway. So that's that piece done. What we'll do is get the side cover back on. The side cover is actually, the actual piece here is integral to the fit into this. There isn't a separate piece. It just fits into this lug, and we've got 1, 2, 3 bolts, quite long bolts that pick up on this and pull it up and seal that off. Then next get the other side cover on, and then get the tank back on, fuel connected. Then I think we are done with this one. Not a lot doing, as you saw with these videos for this one. It was in pretty good shape, well, excellent shape, especially the condition of the paintwork, which we'll just cover. Look, this, I mean, the tank is the same condition as this. It's really good. So get the bits back on and we'll get it started. little bit of grease on the end there. These rubbers always go hard, and these are really susceptible to breaking off. Before I put the tank back on, I need to replace this bung. It's a homemade version that's been put on. On the other side is a standard rubber, but I've got a spare here to go on it. But ingenious, I think, what he's done. He's used, anybody a tip out there, if you can't get hold of these rubbers, they are kind of commonly available, but hey, he's made it out of what looks like a small wheel, maybe off a child's toy or something like that, wrapped it in tape, and then covered it in what seems to be a resin to the exact diameter that's needed for the bung. But clever. New one in place. So what we've got just on the back here, if you'll see earlier in one of the videos, I made a new pad for this, which seems to work perfectly. I cut it so that, well, drilled the hole so it was smaller than the spigot. So what's happened there is I've pushed it on, the actual foam has expanded into the tank itself. And then we've got a bolt and washer to go on top of that. So what I've done is cut a piece of rubber on that. So what's going to happen is that will squash out anyway. And then when this goes on, there is a protective piece of rubber under it as well with the bolt into the spigot. Eight mil. There we go. Tank on. So we'll just put the saddle on it loosely for now, and let's kick it over.
So if you're interested, we're going to be at Kempton Park on the 20th of September. There'll be a stand there with this and an XT500 that I've currently got in the van, which I'm going to get out and work on over the next couple of weeks, hopefully to have it ready for Kempton. But if you want to see this and you're interested in buying it, Kempton Park, 20th of September, it will be there.